Gen AI, or Generative Artificial Intelligence, has taken the world by storm in 2023, while earlier this year, we saw not one, but multiple banks that needed to be bailed out, didn't we, Del?
Yes, that's right, Messi. And the US economy, however, looks like it's going to hit a soft landing, while crypto is doing better than expected.
Hi, I'm Sati for Messi, and I report for the business desk at Seatoday.
I'm Adelia Dinda, also reporting for the business desk. Here are some of our picks for the 2023 Economy Kaleidoskop.
OpenAI launched its own Gen AI with ChatGPT in November 2022. And by January 2023, it had amassed 13 million users, and it continues to grow every day. Using a freemium model, ChatGPT operates as a chatbot that can generate human-like responses based on intensive training data, eliminating redundant tasks from human hands. Though it raises concerns among professionals and educators, OpenAI has this to say.
I believe that there will be far greater jobs on the other side of this, and that the jobs of today will get better.
The winner in the growth of Gen AI is Microsoft. Microsoft invested $1 billion in OpenAI back in 2019, which swelled to $13 billion, and OpenAI is now valued at $29 billion. Microsoft almost brought Sam Altman into their AI team during the CEO shuffling that occurred in November. Another winner due to Gen AI is Nvidia. Year to date, Nvidia stock has risen over 200%, putting their valuation at the $1 trillion mark. The large computers powering generative AI, which process data, run on powerful chips called graphics processing units, or GPUs, with Nvidia controlling about 80% of the GPU market. In December, AMD announced their entry into the race to create the next GPU for Gen AI. Meanwhile, other tech companies are playing catch-up. Google released Google Bard late March, while Meta launched Meta AI in September, and X.com announced their version of Gen AI called Grok in November.
Another story making the headlines in 2023 was the collapse of banks.
In March 2023, Silicon Valley Bank was shut down by the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. Later in March, First Citizens Bank bought up all deposits and loans of the failed bank. The story began on March 8, when SVB announced a $1.8 billion loss on its bond portfolio, along with plans to sell both common and preferred stock to raise $2.25 billion. With the news, SVB customers began withdrawing their money, resulting in attempted withdrawals totaling $42 billion. Along with the stock plunge of SVB stock, other major banks also saw their stock prices take a hit. This is one of the largest bank failures since Washington Mutual closed in 2008. Signature Bank and First Republic Bank soon also had to be bailed out. In Switzerland, Credit Suisse, the second largest bank at the time, had to be acquired by the main competitor, UBS, for $3.3 billion.
Another story that caught my eye, Del, was inflation in the United States, as well as the hiking of US Fed rates. Coming out from the pandemic, the US faced inflation, and the Fed immediately raised their rate throughout the year to combat inflation. In early 2022, the rate was at 0.25%. Coming in 2023, the rate was around 4.5%, and the Fed raised 25 basis points in February, March, May, and June before holding it at 5.5%.
But inflation is still too high. Ongoing progress in bringing it down is not assured, and the path forward is uncertain. As we look ahead to next year, I want to assure the American people that we're fully committed to returning inflation to our 2% goal.
Yes, Messi, and of course the Fed rate hikes had a massive global impact. influencing the value of the world currencies, just like the rupiah.
That's true, but markets are also expecting for the Fed to cut their rates next year.
Indeed, so we will see what happens next year. But for now, let's move on to another story. Who doesn't love crypto? Well, apparently the US government, especially following the major scandals this year involving the big players in the crypto industry.
Two of the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchanges, FTX and Binance, have been arrested and fined.
The Justice Department has successfully prosecuted the CEOs of two of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges in two separate criminal cases. The message here should be clear. Using new technology to break the law does not make you a disruptor. It makes you a criminal.
In November, FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty when a New York jury convicted him of fraud in a scheme that cheated customers and investors of at least $10 billion. Not long after that, Binance, the largest cryptocurrency exchange, agreed to pay $4 billion settlement, and its founder, Changpeng Zhao, pleaded guilty to a felony related to his failure to prevent money laundering on the platform. Despite the controversies, Bitcoin saw a surge in 2023 from around $16,000 up to above $40,000 by the year end, up over 23%.
Alright, Del, that was from the United States, but from Indonesia, I'd like to talk about the digital payment system of the future, KRIS, which stands for Quick Response Code Indonesia Standard, which is expanding across Southeast Asia and even into the Middle East. The Quick Response Code Indonesian Standard, or KRIS, is breaking outside of Indonesia. In late 2022, KRIS was available in Thailand, while in May 2023, KRIS was available to transact in Malaysia. In November 2023, KRIS opened another door in Singapore and the United Arab Emirates, allowing Indonesian travelers to use their Indonesian bank accounts without the need to bring cash.
Kita baru menandatangani dengan Uni Emirat Arab. Supaya nanti kalau ke Dubai dan segala macam bisa pakai KRIS.
Iya. Saudi juga dong,
Saudi
Pak.
ya sedang
Buat yang umroh, buat yang haji.
umroh haji supaya pakai KRIS sama BI-FAS itu.
And Messi, another thing that we shouldn't miss in Indonesia this year is the IPO, or the initial public offering, which broke record numbers in the country this year. One of the most notable was the IPO from a company in the renewable energy sector.
The Indonesian Stock Exchange saw the most IPOs in a year, with over 70 companies listed in 2023, raising more than 53 trillion rupiahs, or $3.4 billion. One IPO that stood out this year was Barito Renewables Energy, which gained over 600% since its IPO, making the owner, Prajogo Pangestu of the Barito Group, the richest person in Indonesia, surpassing the Hartono brothers.
Of course, Del, we have to talk about the Indonesian economy this year because despite global external challenges, it has performed well and even outperformed many advanced economies. As the IMF has said, the global economy remains weak, with many pressing challenges still abound. From the high interest rate climate to the detrimental economic impact from rising geopolitical tensions. But despite all this, the IMF's managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, during her visit to Jakarta in September, said that Indonesia remains a bright light amid the difficult global situation. Up until the third quarter, Indonesia still managed to average GDP growth of 5%, continuing the positive trend of last year. Indonesia's growth outpaced that of the US and the European Union, which fell into a technical recession in early 2023.
Indonesia masih termasuk negara yang memiliki kinerja pertumbuhan ekonomi tertinggi di lingkungan ASEAN dan di lingkungan G20, yaitu di 5%.
Meanwhile, after reaching a record high last year, inflation in Indonesia has also slowed to 2%, well below the target range set by Bank Indonesia. Indonesia's trade balance continued to be at a surplus for 43 months in a row, as the value of the country's exports exceeded imports since May 2022, while investments remained high, reaching 1,053 trillion rupiah as of the third quarter, rounding off a mostly positive year for Indonesia's economy. And that brings us to the wrap of our Seatoday Business and Economics Kaleidoskop 2023. I have been Satya Pramesi.
And I'm Adelia Dinda. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
Hello everyone, this is a story of a woman who needs a break from the hustle and bustle of a city and decides to travel on her own. It's a tale of rapid development of Indonesia's transportation infrastructure in 2023.